Hello Internet, this is Scott with Scott's Garage, standing in my garage. In this video, I will show you how I created these garage shelves, which are 8 feet wide, 14 inches deep, and hang from threaded rods hanging from the rafters in the ceiling. Keep watching. Welcome to Scott's Garage. Welcome literally to my garage. Whether it's working on a daily driver, or a project car, or a project around the home or the yard or the patio, a pallet project, Scott's Garage is a place for do-it-yourselfers. Everything is do-it-yourself. Welcome to my channel. Now, before we get into the detail of these shelves, over the years I've made all kinds of garage shelves, most of them ugly, made out of 2x4s, where like the support would be a 2x4 going all the way to the floor, and where the 2x4 is in the way of actually putting stuff on the shelf. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come up with strong shelves that didn't look bulky and that actually were attractive and didn't suck. So this is my attempt. Also, this video is part of a playlist called Scott's Garage Makeover, where basically by necessity, I'm redesigning this garage to better utilize the space. So I'm utilizing the space above here between the garage rail and the wall. Notice that gigantic cubby up there. And I'll explain the detail here in a second. But you can store items that are 8 foot and longer up there, which has always been a need that I've had. And these shelves, likewise, are 8 feet wide, 14 inches deep, and I think they're really going to serve this garage well. Now let's get into the detail. Okay, here's what we're using for these shelves. First of all, studs. So these are not 2x4s, these are studs made out of pine, and they're basically 2x3. And then we're going to use some MDF board. This is a very heavy stuff, but it's pressed wood. It's medium density fiber wood, and people either love it or hate it. It's very heavy. If you get it wet, it can swell, and that's no good. If you drop it, it can chip. However, if you can get beside those things, if you seal it, it's very workable. You can use all your wood products with it because it basically is wood. You can safely use all your wood tools. So we're going to be using MDF and studs for these shelves. Okay, first thing we're going to do is miter some angles off of the studs. These are 8 foot sections, so a 45-degree angle using my compound miter saw. Okay, I've made my mitered cuts, and notice I'm using the lower profile, so the 1.5 inches rather than the 3 inches. And the reason for that is I don't want a big bulky looking shelf. These are going to be plenty strong enough for what I'm doing. And anyway, I just have the miter saw. I might as well use the miter corners. So I'm gonna glue it with Gorilla wood glue, and put some screws in there, and just do that to both sides. Okay, I have some 60 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to sand the outside edges. Okay, we're going to paint now the shelves. I'm only going to paint the studs. I'm going to leave the MDF the color it is. But the color that I've chosen for Scott's Garage Makeover, it's called Rock Bottom. It's a Varspar cabinet and furniture paint enriched with oil. Just love it. It doesn't show any brush or roller marks. And again, I just want consistency in this makeover, so that's the color we're going to paint the studs. Here I'm drilling a 1/2 inch hole, one on each of the front corners that the threaded rod will go through. Okay, next we are going to put a coat of varnish on the MDF. I'm not going to paint it. I kind of want the contrast of the brown next to the green. But again, we're going to use this Rust-Oleum Ultimate Spar varnish. You have to seal MDF, especially the ends that you cut. If you don't seal it, if you get any moisture at all, it'll swell up. And so again, we're going to use this Rust-Oleum to seal it. Now, I'm only recording here one coat, but I ended up putting 3 coats on total. Okay, here I'm using my Cobalt cordless 24-volt hacksaw to cut the 1/2-inch threaded rod. It's 10 foot in length, and now there's 2 5-foot sections. Having carefully measured, I'm now drilling through the drywall. I'm up in the attic now, drilling down. And here I'm cutting some of the angle iron that holds the garage rail. It already had a hole. I'm just reaming it out a little bit so the rod can easily go through it. Here I'm just pushing the rod up now. And on this corner, when we get up in the attic, there's already a very substantial 2x12. You can see it there. I had to avoid the wire for the garage door, but I had lined up just perfectly and pushed the rod up and put the nut on. Now I'm working on the other side. And again, on the garage side, here it is. I pre-cut a big 2x12 and spanned it across the rafters and was able to line it up easily and put the nut on. Here I put some thread lock on these top nuts. I'll also put them eventually on the very bottom nuts. And here I'm using a Kreg jig. The back side of the shelves, there's no threaded rod. Basically, I'll use 4-inch wood screws through the wall into the studs in the wall. And this jig just makes for a really nice, perfect angle. Here I'm attaching the MDF to the stud frame using 1 1/8" wood screws. Everything's in place. I also drilled the holes through the MDF and the studs, and here I'm just raising it up. I had to be a little bit creative in how I did that. So basically, I put some nuts on, just raised it up on one side or the other, screwed the nut. Took some time, but it worked out really well. I'll tell you more about the upper cubby here in a second. So here I'm putting the second shelf on. Again, just raising it a little bit at a time, getting it roughly in place, have a level there. And finally the bottom shelf and raising it and leveling it. Okay, I want to show you the detail here of what I did. First of all, the threaded rods are 1/2 inch. They're 16 count, and I use these flanged nuts to tighten up, and it worked really well for leveling. I could just use the wrench and tighten or loosen it and get the level up there perfect. I also leveled it the other direction, this way, and please note as well that the threaded rods are only on the outside. For the inside, you can see right up there and over here. Down here I messed up and I had to re-drill. But I used a 4-inch wood screw, and it is angled, and it goes into the studs. So it's firmly secured directly into the studs on the inside, and then threaded rod on the outside. Now here's another note on the cubby above. You see the solid piece up here, and that's to prevent anything from falling down onto the garage door itself. But I did not nail this or screw this. Basically, it's 1 foot from the ceiling to here, and I was able to just raise up the shelf and pinch it between the shelf and the ceiling. It's very secure, and you have the rods on this side. And that way, if you got something stuck in there, if you had to, you could simply back down the nuts and simply pull that board out. Finally, this detail. For every shelf, when I joined the MDF to the studs, I used 16 of these number 8 1 1/4" all-purpose screws, the Torx head. I used my impact driver to do so. Now, part of the Scott's Garage makeover is to make better use of the space so that the cubby, I have PVC here, like by 8-foot sections. I have some extra 10-foot threaded rod I'll be putting up here, and other things too. Just very useful space. I can see breaking down pallets and just storing wood up there and other items. Hey, that's it for this video and these set of shelves. But I'm not done. I'm going to keep building shelves better, utilizing the space of this small garage. Please watch the other videos on this playlist, including the very first set of shelves on the opposite side of the garage. Eventually, I'll be even rebuilding this workbench and table saw, so please keep posted for that. Now, if you got any value at all from this video, please give me a like. It costs you nothing, but it's a great value to me. I also value all of your comments. And if you're not subscribed to Scott's Garage, please subscribe, especially if you're a do-it-yourselfer. Scott's Garage is a place for do-it-yourselfers. You belong here. Have a great day.